Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for being here on Career Journeys, where I interview different people from different walks of lives and professions as they share their stories, which I hope will be an inspiration to my audience. I have with me today a very, very special person and a very amazing person who I look forward to interviewing. And that person is Gregory Ijiwola, PhD. I call him Pastor Lan. I'll read a little bit of something from his LinkedIn profile, and then I will give him an opportunity to introduce himself. Before I do so, welcome, Pastor Lan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Pastor May. It's a pleasure and a privilege. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'll read a little bit from your LinkedIn profile and then you'll introduce yourself. Okay. So, Gregory Ijiwola, PhD, theologian and pastor, transformational writer and author, church and nonprofit management expert, leadership and organizational systems consultant, inventor, international conference speaker. What a mouthful.
A mouthful.
Pastor Lan, please tell us a little bit more, elaborate, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, it's a mouthful, but I think I felt like I needed to talk about the various aspects of me. Seem like a multifaceted person. So I had to put all those to summarize those different aspects. Well, I usually introduce myself by saying that I've always been, since I knew myself, I've always been on a quest for knowledge. I had this desire in me growing up to know how things work. So at first, I thought it was knowing how electronics and electrical stuff work. Because that was my first exposure, because my dad, that was his profession. So that's why I went into electronics and electrical engineering, which is where we met. It was in that
many years ago.
Yes,
we won't say how many, but
yeah, some years ago. Yeah, that's so. So I did that, and of course, I still love electronics. I still read after it. I still have it all around me. I love gadgets. I love, I just love that. But that, created another hunger inside of me, which, of course, after when you start doing, electronics, electrical, you start dealing with computers. So that's why I went to study information systems. So with information systems, I got knowledge in programming and just computing systems and all that software stuff. But then the quest to know how things work. So around that time, I happened to, I've been pastoring all through, but I was in Chicago then, and I saw that I needed to understand the city. I just felt like there was a need to understand the city more. And even cities, I had this interest in cities. So I went to Moody Theological Seminary and did a master's in urban studies, which also led me into theology and the, studying the original languages of the Bible and all that. So that opened my eyes to a lot of things about how cities work, about how clusters of people, work systematically and all that. There's something else, right? Which was a desire to understand how leadership systems and organizations worked. So I went and did my PhD in that for about 5 years. And that exposed me a lot to systems thinking, helped me to actually refine some things that, I had a knack for naturally, but make them more professional. I understood the theories and all the underpinnings of systems through that. So which led me to now start working with organizations in sorting out their systems, either in crafting, creating, or just supplying some ideas on this, how you can tweak this, which has moved me to doing that with nonprofit and doing it with churches and businesses, also schools, educational institutions like universities and all that. So that's a quick summary. But of course, the inventor part is because I like to create things in the area of systems. So I saw that I love to create things that make life easier in terms of either organizing or doing stuff. So I create all kinds of that actually came around my PhD because I did a grounded theory study during my PhD, and in a grounded theory study, you're supposed to actually come up with a formula, like create something to solve a problem that had not been done before. That's going to be your contribution to the literature. So that got me to start thinking a lot about, creating frameworks and all that. So through that, I create life management modules, all kinds of stuff. And of course, I created a Bible app that puts your name in the Bible, and a version of it is coming up now that has your audio. I mean, that speaks to you in audio, that does all that. Yeah. So that's just
Wow. So, I mean, I think this is such a robust way of looking at innovation and creating, because, I mean, being a technical person myself, when I think of innovation, I think I think of my first thoughts are around, like what you said, electronics, around maybe even programming and things like that. But you are expanding that thought and bringing in even creating solutions that help people and solve people problems.
Yes.
Right. So when that happened to you, what did it feel like when you began to think beyond, oh, okay, innovation in terms of technical terms to people issues, right? How was that for you? Was that like a light bulb moment? Was that something that just gradually happened? Was that like, you were talking to somebody and it's like, oh, okay, I got it. You know?
Yeah. I would say it was a combination of both, of several things. So there was a gradual one where if you have to do something over a period of years, for example, doing the PhD, I had to write papers over a period of 5 years every week. So, and then you have to study all this stuff, and so you're doing it over, and at the same time, my PhD was a professional kind of PhD because it was an immersive one. So basically, I was immersed in leadership, and I was using the leadership of what I was doing in the church and the ministry, as basically all my papers were on that, using all those theories, and just applying them there. So I'm immersed in problems and I'm immersed in theories and all this stuff. So you have to start thinking of, okay, how do you translate this? And that's what led me to start creating different things, maybe a diagram or something. I thought, oh, this is a system diagram that could solve this particular problem. This is that. So that took me away from thinking of inventions and innovation and creativity from maybe you created a product like a technological product. That's one aspect, right? But then aspect of innovation in systems, right? Innovation even in creating new fresh thoughts, right? Fresh thought, or to look at a particular thing. So I said that innovation can be varied. So you can actually be, and for anybody, for all our audience watching, you can be an inventor, an innovator in your area of operation, not necessarily just those, those who do technological stuff. Because as you start looking, you see that there are thoughts that you actually operate with in that area of your career. You've studied them in school, you come across them at work constantly. They were individuals that innovated those things.
Yeah. Wow. So you are saying innovation can come into play in any field. How can somebody cultivate that in themselves? How can they, let's say, you know what, I'm someone I like things being set. Things like I'm afraid of new things, right? how can I begin
Yeah.
to move from there and become more of
Mm.
an innovator? And then when you are talking about innovation, what's the connection between that and creativity? Are we talking about the
Yeah.
same thing? Are there differences there? Are there nuances that
Yeah.
kind of, set them apart? Um, if you will please speak to that.
Mhm. Yeah, they are. Let me answer the first one. I'll talk about the relationship between creativity and innovation. So, but the first question is, how do you start developing an innovative mindset in your career? There's this popular saying that necessity is the mother of invention. So usually, when you are doing anything, like you are involved in anything, there are problems that you face constantly, like some novel problems, some problems that others have solved. But problems always show up every day in
Yeah.
our career. They always show up, right? Now, those problems are opportunities to be innovative, right? So basically, when you talk about innovation, there are different ways that you could go. So number one, you could take what exists, make it better,
Mm.
right? That's one aspect, taking something that exists
Mm.
and you make it better. The second one is that you could take two things that exist, right? Combine them to create
Something.
something new. Or you could actually create something fresh, something completely new. Now, not everybody can just create something from nowhere, something completely new. But one aspect that, the two aspects that people can actually start, just practicing innovation is to take something to become better. Is a way that people can start practicing innovation. When you face a problem, right, and you see, oh yeah, maybe I can make this better again. So that's the other one. Or you can combine two things or more things together to create something new, right? So, for example, let me give you an example of for me personally. So, I noticed that there are Bible, what do you call it? There are Bible apps, right? There are Bible apps where people can, download it and all that. Then I noticed that there are some people like Nave and all that actually did topical Bible studies and all that, and they're all there, they're in the public domain, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? What if I combine that and then I now combine technology right now just to
Mm.
substitute stuff, right? So I
Yeah.
combine all that together to create a personalized Bible
Mm.
that you can read it in your name. It can
Mm.
bring out verses and address it directly to you and then
Mm-hmm.
also you can also ask it on any topic and it will address those topics in your name. So it's like a combination of things that already exist to create
Mm.
something that does
Mm.
not currently exist. So for anybody that wants to get into innovation, I'll say that always think of the problem that you face as opportunities to improve yourself or to create something, and then start thinking of what have people done in this area. Okay, they've done this, they've done that. Okay, maybe I could add this little thing to this one and see how it's going to happen. So that's the what I advise people to do if they want to develop innovative thinking. They should learn to question things. They should learn to when they look at problems, not complain, see problems as opportunities, to create something.
Yeah. Wow. So what
Relationship
are
between
the
creativity.
Okay, go,
Yes, I
go
wanted to
ahead.
answer
Go
the
ahead,
second.
please. Yes, I,
So
I
the
forgot to
relationship,
ask two questions. Go ahead, please.
yeah. So the relationship between creativity and innovation. So they are definitely interconnected, right? It's like set subset. So innovation is an aspect of creativity. It's a subset of creativity. Creativity generally is the ability to bring things into reality that probably didn't exist before, right? So that's creativity. Now, innovation is very much related. So you can be innovative within creativity. For example, if there's something that's already created, right?
Mm.
You can actually take it to a new level, through innovation. So innovation is more like a way of pushing things forward, through, a fresh look at it, or addition of something to it. Yeah. So that's a simplistic way that I will use to define it. Yeah. But it's more involving than that. Yeah.
And that, wow. Thank you so much. So, what are the rewards of being innovative? I mean, why should I bother? Um, you know, is it rewarding enough to put in the effort to try to do
Yes.
things in a different way?
I think there are a lot of rewards. So there are intrinsic rewards and there are extrinsic rewards. So first of all, it feels good. I'm sure everybody has had that feeling. Maybe you just cooked a nice meal and you added some new
When you
ingredients
spice,
to it, some new spices, and wow, you call everybody and say, you know what, I
you have to
I
taste
added
it.
this. Look at this is what. So there's that feeling that you have inside when you contribute to the world, like
Yeah.
you also making a little dent in the world
Mm.
by adding something, right? Because God, our Father, is a creative God. So, and He made us creative. We created us in His image, right? So we're also creative children. So whenever we express creativity, innovation, we're expressing our DNA. We're expressing our, that image of God that we have. So it brings fulfillment. It brings joy. So that's the intrinsic one, right? Now, extrinsic rewards, so many of them. There's financial rewards. The they patent things every single day. They are. I understand that they are. If I don't want to, exact, but I would say hundreds of patents that are filed every day. You understand? Because people have created something, and if you happen to be the first one to create it, and it's patented, everybody that ever does anything on it for several years, they're going to be paying you, for whatever they derive from it, from that thing. So there are financial rewards to it, right? You also recognize. So look at things like, for example, look at Facebook, right? Let's look at Facebook as an example. Do you know that there was a particular person who created the like button? He was working in Facebook, and he was the one that came up with that like button.
Right.
Now look at that like thing, that like everywhere now.
It's changed
Everybody
the
does it.
world.
Yeah, it changed the world, right?
Yeah.
The StreamYard that we're using right now, it was some young guys, I
Yeah.
studied them, that came up with it just before the pandemic, that they came together and said, let's create something for people to stream and all that. Very simple and all that. So there are financial rewards to it, recognition, right? But most importantly, you are solving problems. You're solving problems. Now, they created StreamYard. Now we're able to talk, we're able to interview, we're able to, to actually affect the world. So the things that we create actually, influence people, touch the world. And if you're talking in the context of the gospel, that's how the kingdom of God expands through all kinds of innovation by God's people. And God really wants us to get more into that, especially Christians, because we have relegated that to non-believers. And God will always use those who are open. So He will use non-believers to create all these things, and then we will get on it and start using it.
That's
But I think God will actually prefer to use His children to do it.
Wow. What has been the cost to the cost of the gospel in your opinion, and believers not being maybe as innovative as God desires us to be?
Yeah. So we will. Can you just imagine if the person who created some of these, or people who created some of these things that we talk about, they actually go to our churches and they are making billions of dollars. That's what I was saying.
The whole world would be one.
And they're making billions, of dollars from that, even they're tithing or whatever. There's a lot of
missions would flourish. You won't, man.
I'm telling you. If some of them they have to go outside the church to do it.
Yeah.
They had to go outside the church to do it because there was no, the environment was not
Not
there. So we
conducive.
lost that. It's like a brain drain, you know. So just
Mm.
imagine if that is happening. Imagine what will happen if these things are coming out, actually coming out, being born from the womb of Zion, you know,
Yeah.
how it will be, you know, how, the kingdom of God will be
Mm.
perceived and how,
Mm.
the influence is going to have. But it's still God doing it. So God has
Yeah.
this way of operating that whenever he wants to get anything done, he's going to look for the person who is searching for it,
Yeah.
basically, whether they are in the church or
Yeah.
outside the church, and
Outside.
he will give it to them, to
Mm.
use it because he has put those principles there. That ask and you'll be given, seek you find, knock the door will be open. And he said, whosoever, that's what he says there. Whosoever is asking, whosoever is doing the reading and researching and all that, they will receive it.
So
And
they'll
you know, and
find it.
and find it.
Mm.
So if we can teach our people within the church, if we can all, and people watching, if you can just decide that I want to be more, creative, more innovative. There are ways that you can jot that, but start with, talking to God like Solomon did.
Mm.
Basically, what Solomon was asking God when he asked for wisdom, like was actually, was asking for the ability to be able to understand and create systems. And they said
Mm.
later when they were talking about the influence of Solomon's wisdom, that he wrote this number of poetry. He
Yeah.
understood how the animals. He wrote this number of songs, and also his the way he led and all that. You see that the wisdom showed up in all those practical, innovative ways. I usually encourage you. I say pray to God for wisdom. Pray to God to open your
Mm.
eyes to see how He created things, and He will
Mm.
begin to give you a portion of it.
Mm. Wow, that is so powerful. So
Yeah.
when we are talking about, you mentioned the term, the phrase, a brain drain, earlier. So when we're talking about, or if we start talking about reversing that, or at least attempting to reverse that brain drain, you'd say the first thing to do is talk to God and ask God for um, that's wisdom, understanding creation, understanding a portion of
Yeah.
that creativity to create
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
world. So,
Yeah.
in addition to that, how would you
Mm.
encourage innovation
Yeah.
within the church?
Yeah. So that's step number one. So the step number one is ask God. It said, by wisdom he founded the earth, right? By God's wisdom, even the earth is sustained. So all the so what we need to do is something happened to me some years ago. So I used to separate domains of knowledge
Hmm.
because I didn't have this understanding. So I would separate spiritual knowledge and then economic,
Scientific knowledge.
physics, and all that.
Yeah.
And I, separate it, right? But I think it was during a session on systematic theology when we're talking about the way God speaks to humanity. It's usually divided into some do two, some do three. The first one is called general revelation. General
Hmm.
revelation. That's number one. That how God speaks to humanity. General revelation. What's general revelation? General revelation is the knowledge of God through nature. So, which is what Psalm 19 was talking about when he says, the earth, the heavens declare the glory of the Lord. The firmament declares glory. Day unto day uttereth speech, night unto night uttereth knowledge. So that's
Hmm.
Psalm 19 from verse 1 to 3. So it's talking about how all of creation is speaking. And then Paul in Romans chapter 1 talked about we understand that the invisible things of God's nature are revealed in the things which are seen, so that no excuse or nobody's without excuse or something like that. So basically, that all these things in nature, they are revealing a part of God, electricity, all this stuff. So I began to understand. So then they set the other kind of knowledge called special revelation. So special revelation is what is not revealed to everybody, right? But it's revealed either through the Bible or through Jesus Christ, his son, right? And all that. But general revelation is the knowledge of God everywhere. So I
Hmm.
began to understand. And then when I studied the history of science, I saw that what they used to call science before was actually, it was called natural philosophy. Some people even used to call it natural theology. That's why you notice that some of the earlier scientists, they were actually theologians, like Galileo and all of, they were in the church, but they were trying to know more about God in nature. So, but towards the 19th century, during the Renaissance movement and all these things that were happening, the age of enlightenment that took place, that's when they started separating it from theology, from God. And that's where you have atheistic science, scientific thoughts. That's where it actually started. It's a recent happening. You understand? This atheistic scientific thought. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be together. I used to challenge people to, I said, go and check the universities that you went to. I said, go and check what their motto is. I did it with somebody recently. I said, go and check what Harvard is. I said, wow. I said, all of them is from
Bible school, theology schools.
All their mission statement up until now is from the statement of Jesus in John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I told you, go study, you see Veritas in there. You see all that.
The only the only Ivy League I believe that did not start off like that was Cornell. Apart from Cornell, all the other Ivy League.
And maybe Carnegie Mellon might not be an Ivy League, but it started from Andrew Carnegie, and it's about work. Their motto, because I used to study the motto of universities, right? It's about work. Something about work, something work. Yeah, that's Carnegie Mellon. Yeah, but all the other ones, you will see that they proceeded from that statement, John 8:32. So when that happened to me, and I also saw that physics, chemistry, all these things, we're just studying general what God put in there. That's what we are exploring. He's the one that is the first scientist, first physicist. That's what we are exploring. So when that thing happened to me, so I tell people, I say, number one, ask God for wisdom, to go back to the original question. Number two, I said, immerse yourself into systems. So first of all, find people that understand systems, find where systems are in operation, right? So immerse yourself in systems. Immerse yourself in system. Find mentors and people that understand systems. Sit and watch them. I do that. Wow, I'm always amazed at systems. Whether it's unbelievers that did it, believers, churches. Wow, how did that happen? The time I visited Hillsong in Australia, then I was like, wow, what is behind? I could see all the different things. Oh, wow. Sometimes go to, companies and all that, and be wowed by those things, right? And then how do you start?
I was going to ask, how do you immerse yourself into systems? What are practical ways of doing that?
Yeah. So first of all, if there's something that is working well, like very, you see that they are very effective, right? Very effective around you. It could be a company, it could be even a home, it could be just somebody that has a business or something that you see that is very effective. You go there, you can ask to either come there to learn, or you could intern there, volunteer there, get employed there. However, you can get your foot in there. And while you are doing what you are doing, be learning. Because you see, when you are working somewhere, I tell people there are two main things you get, right? When you are working anywhere, what you are learning and what you are becoming. I said, always prioritize who you are becoming over what you are earning. Because what you are earning can be taken away from you if they fire you today. But who you are becoming can never be taken away from you. That goes with you into the next career, into anywhere you want to go, that goes with you. So always focus on who you are becoming. And part of how you do that is you learn, you listen, you understudy, you study, and you keep imbibing that. So you immerse yourself there. And then I say, how do you practicalize it? Start organizing simple systems in your life. So rather than just throw your clothes, into your wardrobe like that, create a little system there. Okay. Create your scheduling system. Create, I mean, just start your, just be creating little system around you. Organize your books in a system. Just doing little, your shoes and all that. Even your kitchen, just be doing your car. Just be doing little things like that to imbibe that kind of systems thinking. And then just when you've done it normal, then think of, what is it? Let me see if I can put this tiny thing to it. Maybe it can actually, make it a little bit better. So you're beginning to develop innovative thinking.
Wow.
Day-to-day stuff. Before you know it, you discover that you're applying that to every other thing that you do.
Oh, wow. That is profound. That is so profound. I just want to pause there for a minute. Wow. Okay. So now you did your PhD, and obviously you were also pastoring as well. And from there, you've gone on to establish other non-profit organizations, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey? What inspired you to go beyond pastoring a local church to just casting a wider net and looking for greater impact? What was the inspiration beyond that, behind that, and how has that journey been?
Yeah, I mean, somebody said it this way. I think it was Craig Groeschel that said it, that, and Craig, for those who don't know, Craig Groeschel is a pastor, who also, he has a leadership podcast. And people know him because many people use this app. They have the Bible app. It's his church, that created the Bible app. So he made a statement that God leads us not just through open. I'm going to paraphrase him now. Through open doors, but through constraints. Through constraint. That if you begin to feel a constraint in a particular area, try to find out why. So my journey to open up my mind was because of limitations. So as I began to pastor, I just knew that there was no way. So I have a passion to impact the world, to impact cities and all that. I just knew there was no way I could ever do it by myself or through the entity that I am leading in terms of a church. That having a building and people coming in there, I'll probably just become, I'll talk to them and they'll come back again. I'll talk to them, we'll come back again, and we'll continue the cycle. Then after some people get tired, they will leave. Some people will grow old and all that. And I will grow old too myself in front of everybody. So I didn't want to do that. So I was like, okay, so how can I, looking at this, how can I? And that's when, first of all, the first concept that came to me was what I call a without walls concept. So, in other words, whatever you are doing, break the walls. So usually walls come to restrict you. So you begin to operate within the walls. So break the walls down. So I stopped saying that the church I pastor was a church with this number of people. I actually changed it. I remember when it happened to me. I just saw 2.9 million people in Chicago City, and 10 million people in Chicagoland in my mind. And I saw, oh, wow, if Jesus were here, Jesus will actually see this whole thing as his parish, right? So I started seeing everywhere as my parish, like that. So to do that, that would mean that other churches are within my parish. Businesses are within my parish. Entertainment within my parish. Actually, we broke it down using A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So A is art and entertainment and sport. B is business and finance. C is church and religion. D is distribution and media. E is education, science and technology. F is family and homes. G is government and law. So we broke down. All these things are within my territory. Now, if I want all of them to come to where I am, I'm deceiving myself. I don't even have the capacity to. So I had better find a way to be able to still do what I want to do without walls. So that's the first concept: break the walls down. Now, the second important concept that led me in that path was the concept of collaboration.
Yeah.
Collaboration. In fact, my PhD, my dissertation was on collaboration. How multiple community organizations can collaborate together. So I went to study collaborations and all that, and came up with the theory of collaboration. So how can you work together with people? What kind of leadership is required to be able to work together with people with different visions, different motivations and all that, and still be effective? Because I knew that it was going to take several people, several organizations, several visions working together for that kind of impact. Yeah. So that broke another barrier for me in where I started honing things that were not necessarily mine.
Wow.
Yeah, so visions that were not mine, churches that were not mine, organizations that were not mine. It doesn't matter what it was. It doesn't matter whether they even remember me or whatever it does. I don't. So I began to live that way, and I saw, wow, I enjoyed it because I started having opportunities to, interact. Whether it's with secular, non-secular schools, churches, and all that.
To interrupt you, is that a key to collaborating effectively?
Yes, it is. It's a very important key. If you're going to collaborate, and you don't. So how do I say? I don't want to say lose yourself, but there's a concept of whosoever loses his life will find it, and whosoever will keep his life will lose it. So many times we try to hold on to things and we end up losing it all. But I've noticed that when you open up, right, and you start owning things and all that, it actually starts to expand.
Yeah.
Like that Proverbs 11:25, the world of the generous becomes larger and larger, but the world of the stingy becomes smaller and smaller. That's in the Message translation. So it just becomes smaller and smaller. So if you want a world that keep on enlarging, then open up your mind and see everyone around you as interconnected to you, as part of your journey, so that their victory is your victory, their joy is your joy. Pain. I mean, it's a big paradigm shift that is hard to make, right? Because we're naturally created. We're also not created that way, but we're born into this world and we're selfish and self-focused. So, but this is going to require a shift. But it's not a shift that destroys you. It's a shift that brings you into a greater place of joy. When you now understand that, wow, every other person, they are actually connected to me. That's what Paul was saying. When people were saying, I'm of Paul, I'm of Apollos, in 1 Corinthians, he said, well, you guys understand. All these are yours. Whether Paul, whether Apollos, whether all these are yours. Who are they? They're just. So he's saying that rather than you claiming one, why don't you claim all?
That's so a better deal.
I'm a Kingsword man. I tell everyone, I say Kingsword. That's my home church. That's my church. That's my, this and that. I'm whatever church it is, New Life, or not that I don't have a local church, but I'm saying that I'm a part of everything.
Yes, yeah.
I'm a part of it all.
I'm a kingdom, and that's basically saying I'm a kingdom person.
I'm a kingdom person. Yeah, become ecumenical in your thinking. You understand? So that thing, when it breaks, it takes your life to just a new. I mean, I see people from all kinds of denominations and all that. This week alone, I've talked with pastors who are planting churches in different cities. That call me like this, and we're talking, we're plotting, and I'm sending materials. So I'm just, everybody, first of all, break the wall down. Secondly, learn the art of collaboration. Learn the art of collaboration. It's going to help you to be able to expand and grow. So this way that took place, with me, that led me in that journey to be able to, to want to learn more, to be able to help people in that area, the things I do right now.
Yes, wow. This is such an amazing, your journey is an amazing journey. And I know that, you alluded to that just a few moments ago, that you are involved in the growth of so many churches, so many non-profit organizations, and making contributions in that area, helping them to set up systems that work. How is that for you? What does that ignite in you when you do that kind of work?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a mother, father, first of all, you have biological children, the ones that you gave birth to, right? When you see them succeeding, there's a feeling that you have, that connection. Then you also have not just biological children, right? You also have brain children, you have spiritual children, you have things that you contributed a part of yourself into. And when you see them prospering, there's a kind of joy that comes. So for me personally, I think I find I find fulfillment in being sometimes an invisible part of things. You understand? Like maybe being like an engine behind something that publicly. And God has blessed me in such a way that there are many things that are going on right now very publicly, and they are very big. But you understand, a whole lot of, some of those things, like I'm having this kind of, I'm having behind the scene conversation with the leaders of this movement and suggesting different things. Either, okay, theological thoughts that they will call for theological talk, or a system, or I'm the one that designed the system that is operating or connected in one minister, or somebody to this one and to that. So there's that joy of there's this kind of joy to know, sometimes to know that nobody even knows. You understand that you are involved in this. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I don't know, but for me, that's one of the things that it gives me joy. And because that's my purpose. You understand? I have a helps ministry. So so that's my purpose. So it gives me joy to do it, and I'm always grateful to God for giving me opportunity to do that, and to have systems that can do that, and also bring other people into it so that they can do it.
Wow, powerful. Thank you for all that you do. As we're coming to the last few moments of this interview, and it's been an exciting one. That time has gone by so fast, so quickly, and thank you for all the insights you have shared. Now, as you look towards the future, what excites you most? Now,
as I look to the future, what excites me right now, I am very really excited about what God is doing in the nations. There was a time my passion was cities, but I think something shifted, and thank God, because I was able to have people who took on that same passion for like the city that we're in, some of my proteges and so on. But I have a passion for what God is doing in the nations. I dream it. So I'm always, as at this moment, I'm interacting with people from various nations on almost a daily basis, as regarding the expansion of God's kingdom in innovative ways, collaborative ways, either through church planting or through social church planting. So, local church planting, the normal church planting, but also social churches, like things that are not necessarily like local churches, but in the spheres of influence and all that. And, through other systems, approaches. So I'm just excited about, that scripture that says the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters covers the sea. I'm really dreaming of a time when we will not just be operating in a single domain, which is what we've been used to, but where we're going to bring all the streams of God into the propagation of the gospel. So many we're using innovation, we're using creativity, using inventions, we are using what we have termed secular, we're using even venues. One of the things I've also seen is that as you start thinking that way. So I've had maybe travel to a nation, and for example, a good example was when we went to Cyprus, and which was a Muslim nation, and a university comes and presents their university for us to use, vehicle to carry our staff, and they know that we're bringing, we are Christian based. So, and I've seen that happen in different instances where people would say secular, you can't, but to see those things being now reclaimed, the kingdoms of this world become the kingdoms of our God and his Lord and Christ. So I'm really passionate about this, the kingdom message, the kingdom impact, which mobilizes everyone collaboratively all over the place, where that army of God that is not thinking about that is, is the name. Christ is the name that joins us together. Yeah. I'm really excited about that, and just doing it, in a fun and innovative way with lots of people in various nations. So that's what excites me.
I'm excited to hear your excitement about that, because I think it's a transference of excitement as you shared. What you see and your vision. Pastor Lan, there's so much more we could talk about, and it's been a delight having you on the show. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for the inspiration that you are to the local body and to the body of Christ all over the world. And we look forward to seeing you make more impact as you are committed to. Thank you for being here on Career Journeys. I hope that I'll have another opportunity to interview you again on a platform like this. Thank you.
Pastor May, anytime you call me, I have to say, yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being so gracious. Thank you for being
I have no choice. So, yeah, so thank you
have
for
a choice,
that
but
you
thank
do.
you for being gracious. Yeah.
Thank you for all you do, and you are an innovative person, and I see you just in various ways. I mean, from helping pastors' wives, from your ministry to women, to career, to your pastoral aspect, the corporate. I mean, I see you just allowing the streams of God in you to be a blessing to people all around the world, and you just go at it and do it, yourself. So I really commend that, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I need to think more systematically about it so that it's not as stressful. Thank you very much.